is Savardis. He's on the move, and they're going to look for Savardis in the corner. Touchdown!
Rowan heading for the touchpad with the lead, and the Bronx will take the men's 400-yard freestyle relay.
Andrews will be in shotgun. He takes the snap, fakes the handoff. He'll throw it down the left sideline. He's got a wide open receiver. He's got the touchdown.
Okay, moving in. Sends one on goal, and he scores. And it is a power play goal.
Back to pass, middle of the field. The catch is made by Britt. She's off to the races at the 40, the 30, the 20, the 10. Britt is in for the score.
Back on in. Here's Yoxon. Yoxon to the backhand. Trying to go to the front. Makes the move and shot. And he scores!
Smith delivers. That's it back toward the mound. Weiss has it in short. He steps on second, and the ball game is over. Massapequa Coast has won the 2023 New York State Little League Baseball Championship.
Live from the Apex here at Lehman College in the Bronx, New York. CPSAL TV, powered by the PDF Sports Network, welcomes you in to the CPSAL Boys A Varsity Championship right here on CPSAL TV. I'm David Pizzuto alongside Joe Foreman. And Joe, 2 games down, the marquee game to go, the Boys A Championship between Success Academy of Harlem and the Earl Monroe New Renaissance Basketball School.
And Dave, this is a game that we've, of course, been looking forward to all day, and there's a reason it's in the number 3 slot. The building is filled with energy, and these two teams are ready to compete as they headline our triple header here on CPSAL TV. As you mentioned, the PDF Sports Network powering today's broadcasts. Our day opened with a back-and-forth close game in the Boys B Championship. We had a women's game that was really seized early on by Success Academy Manhattan. Now Success Academy Harlem takes the court on the boys' side, looking to make it back-to-back championship victories for the Success Academy here this afternoon. Standing in the way, Earl Monroe. We expect a good game coming up next in just a few moments as tip-off is set to take place in the coming minute.
Right, so we've just had the announcements of our starting lineup. We usually go down to the public address for that, but we'll give it to you here. Starting first for the visiting side in this one, Success Academy of Harlem, in numerical order. Number 1, Corey Davis. Number 2, Vince Asensio. Number 3, Damian Green. Number 5, Elvis Asare. And number 11, Edward Mabel IV. Starting for Earl Monroe in numerical order. Number 2, Aharmi Boyd. Number 10, Eric Bush. Number 11, Deshaun Wilson. Number 13, Elijah Washington. And number 35, the big man, Bryce Azuna. And Joe, big starts have been the theme today. We said that was going to be the case in the earlier boys game, in the girls game as well. Same rules apply here in this A game. Both teams want to get off to good starts here today.
The team that has started stronger has won each of our first 2 games here today. As we are indeed set for tip-off. We'll get the scoreboard on your screen in just a moment.
Opening jump ball goes off of the referee and gets tied up via a jump, so they will redo this one again.
You don't see that very often.
No, you do not.
Though I must admit, in one game that I covered earlier this year at the collegiate level, we had 3 jump balls to start the game.
They do want a clarification on what they should do with the scoreboard, and that's a good buzzing of the clock. So they are going to keep it exactly where it is. 6 seconds slid off the clock after that jump ball, and that one is thrown in out of bounds, and it will be Success ball to start the game. Paid a little bit for Corey Davis giving up so much height on that one to Azuna. He just put that one right out of bounds. So here we go, opening possession of the game, and Harlem controls. They work it. Mabel IV drops over to Green. Green hands it off to Asensio. Asensio driving in, drops it off the glass and in. Asare with the game's first basket.
Asare with a lot of size out there, and if he's left alone under the basket, there's no way you're going to slow him down. Going to be a tough cover throughout this game for Earl Monroe.
Nowhere to go in the middle of things for Bush. He has to kick back out. Long range 3 off the back iron. the battle for the rebound, put in underneath the basket. A couple of blocks by Success Harlem, and it is going to be won by Earl Monroe and taken away. Pair of big blocks that time on shots by Bush and Wilson. And now driving in Asensio. Foul before the shot. Looks like it was on Azuna.
Here's a look at some of that defense by Success Harlem. We'll have to cut away quickly as we have a shot attempt off the inbound.
Right, no good, and the rebound was collected by Bush. Opening minute and 20 seconds here, and Bush travels with it.
Well, now we can take a look at some of that defense. Let's get a look at that pair of blocks underneath. The feed comes inside off the inbound, rejection number 1. Second attempt, rejection number 2, and then a great effort to ultimately come away with possession right here as you generate a turnover off of 2 blocks.
Transition three-pointer is hit on by Davis. And we've got a 5-0 lead here for Success Harlem. Starts with the great defense on one side, draining the outside jumper on the other. Washington all the way in, short jumper on the lip of the paint, no good. And collected by Asare, the rebound. And getting harassed and skating by traffic as Asensio drops it over. Three-pointer from Mabel, the fourth, in and out. Offensive rebound, won by Asensio, puts it back up, blocked. Goes out of bounds, though possession will stay with Success Harlem as we get our first couple of substitutions into the game early for Earl Monroe. Stuckey and Sashin Liz come into the game. Earl the Pearl Monroe, the Earl Monroe New Renaissance Basketball School named after. We'll talk about them in a few moments more in depth when we get our first timeout. But for right now, Success Harlem in control. Opening couple of minutes, they lead 5-0. Ball in their possession. Asensio fakes left, gets to the top of the arc and gives over to Davis. Davis, top of the paint, they kick it out. Long range three, no good. Wild rebound. It is collected by Liz. Work it on the sideline. Stuckey coming in. He gets interrupted, and the ball ends up into the hands of Mabel the fourth. Hands it off to Damian Green, and Green wants to slow things down. Green a couple of paces to his right. Gets it over near the sideline, and once again they work the perimeter. Sliding in towards the baseline, kicking it back out to Asare. He finds in the paint, teammate is Green. They get the layup, it's good, and prompts a quick timeout here by Earl Monroe.
Well, the ball moved well on that last possession for Success Harlem, as you'll see here. They work it around the perimeter. That's followed by a baseline drive, attention drawn in the paint. Nearly stolen on that pass, but with Earl Monroe swarming, trying to jump passes, playing the passing lanes rather than playing their man off the ball, you see the wide open cut. That results from it, and an easy basket for Success Harlem there as they lead 7-0. And Dave, once again, a team in these championship games getting off to a great start. 7-0 in this game, 6-0 in our earlier boys game, and a very strong start. I believe it was also a 7-0 start, perhaps 9-0 in the girls' game. It was 9-0. So in each of our 3 championship games here today, one of the 2 teams has come out really strong. Will this be the first game where the team that got off to a bit of a slower start finds an answer and is able to come back and secure a victory?
Yeah, and in our second game, Dream Charter could not get out of that 9-0 hole. Even though they played pretty even basketball for most of the rest of the first half, and they just lost that even more so in the second and fell behind by a bunch. And, you know, we said it coming into the boys game that both coaches made note that they want to get out to good starts. And right now, Jared Rivers' team is looking for its first points as the higher seed in the home team here. Inside off the glass, the kiss is good for Eric Bush.
Strong move by Bush right out of the timeout. That's what you like to see if you're Earl Monroe.
And now they employ some pressure here. Doesn't back off yet as Asensio needs some room. Good job of breaking out. There's a pass into the interior, disrupted and turned over. Bush looks down the heart of the court. Gives off to Liz. Liz looking for help. It's interrupted, and he loses control and goes out of bounds. Turnover. Success Harlem. Once again with the pressure employed, we have a quick foul whistled against Sasheen Liz with the defensive pressure. And they'll reset here with 4:28 to go in the opening quarter. Asensio working against two defenders, pops it up, and now they work in the middle. Asare, and now in the corner, this is Davis. Davis with the short jumper, no good, and the rebound won by Liz. Washington controls, finds across the way, Stuckey working 1v1 against Davis. Stuckey drives baseline, puts one up, it goes off the back iron, no good. Battle for the rebound, won by Asare. And Asare kicks it out now to Damian Green. Green given some space, backs it up to Asensio. Barks out some signals. Now begins the offense, 3:40 to go. Wants to receive a screen and does. There's the kick out and a three-pointer for Damian Green.
2 for 4 start from beyond the arc for Success Harlem in this game. And that's tough to defend when the ball moves around that well against the zone defense. Those outside shots will be there, and Success Harlem capitalizes.
Biggest lead, 8 points. It's 10-2, and Asensio gives Washington too much body there and gets whistled for the foul. First foul that's whistled against Success Harlem, as Earl Monroe will get another substitution in. It'll be Ozuna out, and number 5, Jaden Kaiser, coming in for the first time.
And as you saw in the replay, sometimes the windows can be that small against the zone defense.
Three-point basket for Liz is no good, but a long rebound gets back to him. In the corner, looking for Kaiser for three, no good. And the rebound won by Liz, but he is rejected, and Success Harlem comes out with it. Nice rejection by Mabel.
And the defense around the rim for Success Harlem in this game has been fantastic early, swatting shot after shot.
Jumper from the free throw line extended. Elvis Asare gets it to go, and the biggest lead balloons up to 10. It's 12-2 here. I wanted to say in the early stages, but we're winding down the first quarter. Washington around the horn. They find Kaiser. Kaiser kicks it back out to Washington for three. No good. And the putback no good by Bush. Scramble for the loose ball, and Asensio comes out with it. Asensio now going right to left. Kicks it over to Green. Green drives in. Off the glass, too strong. No good. And on the transition, they go the other way. Liz off the glass and in.
Nice looking transition basketball right there by Earl Monroe. They're able to get the miss. Very quickly turned it into 2 points.
Good bit of passing that time by Eric Bush as well. They battle near half court, and a whistle against Elijah Washington with 2:04 to go. Keeps possession with Success Harlem, led by as many as 10 in the quarter.
As you got to look at that last transition basket. Doesn't get too much easier than that off a missed shot.
Good look there. And there's Asensio ascending for that jumper. 14 of 4 now. They extend the lead back up to 10 points. Good bit of shooting here for Success Harlem in the opening quarter. Looking in the middle for Bush. He was interrupted by Wilson, and Wilson's going to get flagged for the foul.
And we've seen some nice finishes in this game already early on as you get a look at that last basket by Asensio, hanging and hitting. Looked to be at a bit of a size disadvantage there, but didn't matter much.
Up for three, and that one is good by Stuckey. He's got a couple of good looks there, and that time makes it hurt. Cuts the lead to 7.
First 3 of the game for Earl Monroe.
Get the sense that Earl Monroe will take their fair share of threes in this game. Not afraid to use that outside prowess that they have. Asensio lost control and traveled with it. Tried to offer it up to Wilson, but too many steps for Asensio. He's actually looking for Mabel on the play. Here we go the other way. Earl Monroe looking to chop into the lead. Stuckey bouncing it out to Boyd. Boyd drops it off to Liz. Liz getting into the lane. Wild jumper, no good, but the long rebound won by Earl Monroe, and we have a foul whistled against Sasheen Liz. I believe that's his second, and he promptly will come out in favor of Seth Coombson.
And you're right, Coombson is headed into the game. Liz to the bench. Though it seems like Earl Monroe is beginning to find some rhythm at the offensive end. They've gotten some better looks. It hasn't been as much of a struggle to find open shots these last couple of minutes.
They haven't really forced it inside too much, though, either, Joe. They've kind of relied on that outside shot. There's a three-point attempt. Goes off the glass, no good, and foul by Mabel on the extended rebound. Will send the ball over to Earl Monroe with 40.3 to go. Get our first look at Mika Dendy. Boyd drops it off, and now the short mid-range jumper by Kaiser is good to go, and the lead is down to 5, what was once 10. 20 seconds to go. We'll see if Success Harlem holds for the quarter's final shot. Asensio driving in. Scoop layup, no good. Went over the backboard, and with 10.6 to go. Now Earl Monroe with a chance to potentially get this down to a one-possession game before the end of the first quarter. Stuckey interrupted. Pulls up, gets it over to Bush. Long jumper, no good. And it will indeed be a 5-point lead for Success Harlem after 1 quarter of play.
And that last shot would have been a really big one for Earl Monroe, as they would have had a chance to cut this game down to a 2-point lead for Success Harlem. But here's a look at a couple of the shots that helped Earl Monroe work their way back into this game. First, off of an inbounds pass. You hate to see this if you're a defense. One pass off of the inbound, and there's a wide open shooter on the wing for 3 points. And then just a couple of possessions later, a nice pull-up jumper right here cuts the lead to 5. And that is not an easy shot. Defended well, but not well enough, as Earl Monroe is beginning to find their shooting stroke, and perhaps that's a bit of a cause for concern on the side of Success Academy Harlem. That being said, they played a good first quarter. I'm sure they would have liked the last 2.5 minutes or so to go a bit differently, but overall they have to be pretty happy with how they played in quarter number 1.
Yeah, I believe you're right, Joe. And, of course, the game's still within reach. Of course, if you're Earl Monroe, trailing 10 points, getting that down to 5, definitely a big victory here in the final 2-3 minutes of that quarter. Earl Monroe New Renaissance Basketball School, only in its 4th year of organization, of course, named after the famed basketball great Earl the Pearl Monroe. And here they are battling for a varsity championship in their sport of choice, basketball. They work it here. And now gaining inside, but missing the layup that time with Stuckey. And the putback by Bush is good, and the foul.
Well, baskets like that will chip away at this deficit very quickly for Earl Monroe. Now, did the points not go up?
Well, they haven't been reflected in the scoreboard. We'll see.
Perhaps the foul occurred before that follow-up shot attempt.
No, they've signaled one shot, so that shot does count. They've updated it on the scoreboard, and a chance here to complete the three-point play off the back iron. No good. They battle for the rebound. It's won by Success Harlem. But it was a 10-point lead, now down to 3, as we have a 9-2 run right now going on for Earl Monroe. Asensio gets it to the free throw line, but kicks it out to Davis. Davis does the same, back over to Asensio. Asensio backs things up, gives over to Green. Green fakes right, goes left, drops over to Jallo, who came into the game, Mohamed Jallo. Green collects again, gives it over to Asensio. Screen there, Asensio receives it, gives it over to Jallo. Jallo with the long-range jumper, no good. They elevate for the rebound. It's won by Asare. Put back, no good. And it is collected now by Kaiser, who drops it off to Boyd. Boyd gives over to Stuckey. Stuckey thought about a 3 instead. Gets it back over to Boyd. Boyd to Stuckey. And Stuckey, long-range 3 off the glass, no good. Collected by Asare. Come out the other way here, opening 90 seconds of quarter number 2. There's a three-point attempt, no good. And taken back the other way. Looking to run, Earl Monroe. Back up top to Boyd. Boyd collects over to Kumsen. Kumsen drives in, and he is denied at first. A loose ball still being battled on and won by Success Harlem.
Another emphatic swat right there for Success Harlem. Their defense around the basket has been phenomenal.
Jumper by Asensio as he was getting fouled. No good, but Asensio will go to the line for Success Harlem's first free throw attempts of the game. While we have a mini break, want to say hello to my wife at home, Jennifer, who is listening along with Toby and Lotus, our two dogs who are listening to my voice on, and your voice, Joe, on the broadcast as well.
Their ears aren't perking up at my voice, though.
We thank you for listening, Jen, and letting us know you hear us loud and clear as we have our first free throw of Success Harlem that hits the back iron and out, so they are now 0 for 1. Second free throw is good. So Asensio splits the pair, and they're back up by 4 points, 15-11. Controlling. Kumsen working right to left, gains the paint, jumper in the paint, no good. Kumsen battling for his own rebound, unsuccessful against Asare. Asare with some good quality minutes here on the floor for Success Harlem. Gets a screen for Asensio and gets it back. Asare fakes right, goes left, backs it out. Damian Green drives in, drops off to Asare. Above the free throw line, bounces around, no good, offensive rebound. And we have a foul for the three-point attempt. Looks like it was whistled against Sasheen Liz, and if it was, that's his third personal. And we are going to have some substitutions here as Ahami Boyd checks back in, along with Deshaun Wilson. Liz will indeed come out. Green over to Asensio. Asensio receives the screen. Can't do anything with it, though, and drops it off to Green's attempted three was no good. Long rebound, won by Kumsen. Kumsen interrupted and loses it out of bounds. Kumsen wanted the call, and Asensio didn't get it.
And that whistle not coming likely cost Earl Monroe 2 points. Good effort defensively by Success Harlem to, at the very least, disrupt Kumsen sprinting up the sideline and prevent a fast break chance.
Yeah, Success Harlem taking a little bit of the air out of the ball here in these last few minutes, really insisting on the half-court offense, making the most, of course, of no shot clock here in the CPSAL. The spin-around drive in the lane for Asare is no good, and Bush gathers the rebound. They come out the other way. Boyd drops it off to Kumsen. Kumsen held up, has to kick it back out to Boyd and reset. Boyd wants a screen, gets one from Bush. And Boyd is the recipient of a foul called against Green.
Scoring has slowed drastically here in the second quarter. It's been a grinded-out defensive battle. Not many open looks in this quarter, especially inside the painted area. Both teams really asserting themselves at the defensive end. And I think this game could come down to which team knocks down some more outside shots, because right now, points in the paint, tough to come by.
Bush off the glass, little kiss, just enough.
Not for that man.
Yeah. 15-13 now. And after trailing 12-2 at one point, it's an 11-3 run here for Earl Monroe.
Second nice finish at the rim in this game for Bush.
Yep. He's been really their big threat on the interior. There's a three-point attempt by Asare, no good. The rims out, and here comes Boyd the other way. Boyd over to Kaiser. Kaiser around the horn for Stuckey. Stuckey drives in, gains the paint, opts out to Bush. Bush, right side, and gets that one off the rim and good. We've got a tie ball game.
Bush has been so strong going to his right, and we'll get a look at each of those last two finishes. Here's the first one as Bush attacks the rim, dribbling to his right. He likes that area down around the basket on the right side of the rim. He finishes that first attempt. One possession later, they give it to Bush again. He continues to be the featured player offensively for Earl Monroe. That time finishing in traffic, two defenders draped all over him, and he ties the score at 15.
Yeah, you know, early on in this one, Joe, we mentioned how Earl Monroe was really utilizing the outside game. Of course, they did drain a couple of three-pointers, but now seems like the insistence on going inside, really punishing in the lane and using Bush as a factor with his big size and frame, really punishing Success Harlem down low.
Well, from my perspective, it seems like I engaged the commentator's jinx. I mentioned that the team that shot from the outside could be the team that really begins to pull away in this game, and immediately they feed the ball to Bush on back-to-back possessions. He finishes strong at the rim, and of course, if you have your choice as a team, I think most teams would prefer to win a game bullying the opposition in the paint than draining a bunch of three-pointers. I think the interior presence that you assert yourself with each and every game, much more sustainable than knocking down every outside shot, though. In today's NBA, a lot of the time that's not the case. You see a lot of teams live and die by the three-pointer. Those that play defense the best win championships, however, and we'll see if that's how it turns out here today.
All right, so what was once a 12-2 lead for Success Harlem is no more. We are tied up at 15 apiece. But Success Harlem does have the ball and are coming out of their timeout. Gaining into the paint, teardrop jumper no good. And a scramble for the rebound. Both teams get on the floor. Asensio, the lowest of them all, and he wins another possession here for Success Harlem. Possession arrow will shift after this one.
Just 1 point in this quarter for Success Harlem. That came from the free throw line.
Interesting. And that basket will not count even if it goes, as we had a screen violation on Success Harlem. So Earl Monroe will get possession now, and not since the opening minute, with a possession to take the lead. At stake, Stuckey looking inside once again to Bush. Bush against the Sorry one-on-one to give back to Stuckey. Stuckey stops his dribble, but he traveled before the layup attempt, so that one will not count. And with just under 3 minutes to go in the first half, Success Harlem gets possession. Earl Monroe backing off their press here. That's something they employed in the early minutes as well. Asensio working against Kaiser. And nice pass in the middle of the lane, and unable to get it to go was Damian Green, but he'll get himself a trip to the free throw line with 2:43 to go.
And a nice-looking feed sets up that foul call, and that's something Success Harlem could certainly use more of. Earl Monroe defensively, we mentioned earlier in the game, Success Harlem defensively around the rim and their ability to block shots. But now Earl Monroe really beginning to assert themselves around the basket defensively, and it's paid off here in the second quarter as they've chipped away and tied the score.
First free throw is no good by Green. As both teams get substitutions into the game, Washington checks back in for Earl Monroe, and Dendy will come back into the game for Success Harlem, who are 1 for 3 from the free throw line here in the early going. Second of 2, no good, so make that 1 of 4 from the line here in the first half. Ooh, getting away with one there perhaps was Kaiser.
What about the backcourt violation?
I think the auditorium knew it as well. Going in, looking for contact, was Washington. Didn't get it. The rebound goes over to Asensio. They cross the timeline. This is Green. Green shuffled his feet and travels.
Things beginning to get a bit sloppy.
Yeah.
We've seen some travels and whatever that last possession was with the oohs and ahs here in the gymnasium, but
Right.
It hasn't been much like the first quarter, where it was a slow start for Earl Monroe, but by the time the quarter had ended, both teams appeared to have found their footing.
Meanwhile, Earl Monroe goes back to Bush. He misses the layup, but the putback is good by Deshaun Wilson. And with 2 minutes to go, Earl Monroe has their first lead of the first half, 17-15, and they've overturned the 10-point deficit. Dendy for 3 the other way, rattles around, no good, but the offensive rebound is won by Success Harlem. Dendy rolls back in, blocked by Wilson, and he's able to collect it in time as we approach 90 seconds to go in the first half. Washington slides all the way in, puts it up no good, but he was fouled on the way in, and he'll go to the line.
And we'll get a look at some of the plays that have helped Earl Monroe take the lead in this game, specifically these last couple of possessions. First, at the offensive end. Offensive board off of what was nearly another nice finish by Bush. 2 points on the offensive side. Then at the other end, following this free throw. We'll get a look at that last blocked shot as Earl Monroe has really done a good job beginning to work their way into the lead and asserting themselves specifically in the paint throughout this second quarter. Here's a look at the block in just a moment. We'll have to get the correct replay queued up following this free throw.
Yep, and it will be Washington trying to make at least one of two, and does.
Here's the block.
Score is 18-15, Earl Monroe with their biggest lead, 3 points. Asensio gets the lane into the paint, and he drops that jumper in for 2. Much needed basket that time for Success Harlem.
Much needed. Earlier in the game, Asensio had the nice runner there, gets the floater to go, and finally a field goal for Success Harlem here in the second quarter.
Washington again rips into the paint off the shot clock and out of play. Once again, Washington wanted contact on that, didn't get the whistle in his direction. 1:08 to go. And the lead hanging in the balance here. Could be, both teams will go into the locker room. Could be anybody's game here. Nice move to gain the baseline for Davis, but wanted to drop off to a teammate off the fingertips of Earl Monroe, and possession will remain with Success Harlem. 57.5 to go in the first half. Collected by Jallo. Dendy over to Davis. Davis gets it back. Up top for Asensio. They work it around. 3-point attempt for Dendy, no good. Bouncing ball finally collected here by Boyd. And with 35 seconds to go, Earl Monroe will take their time. Boyd, long range 3, no good. And the rebound collected well and nicely by Jallo. Long range pass, and Green gets it off the glass and in. And Success Harlem gets back the lead. See if Earl Monroe holds for the last shot here with 15 on the shot clock. Boyd back over to Washington. Washington gets it back from Wilson. 7 seconds remaining. Now down to 4. Collecting and putting one off the back iron was Azuna, collected by Success Harlem, and they will take a 19-18 lead into the halftime break. And Joe, relatively low scoring, but plenty of excitement here spread through the first 16 minutes of play.
No doubt about it, and talk about a low-scoring, grinded-out affair. These two teams have really been battling, and we use that word early in the game, perhaps early in the women's game as well, but that's really characterized each of these last two games. Low scoring, a lot of activity around the basket, whether it be at the offensive end with players attacking the rim and defenses meeting those challenges with blocked shots, or in the chase for loose balls, players diving all over the floor at times, things getting a bit out of control and a bit sloppy, hence the low score. But credit to Earl Monroe, they trailed early, took some of the best that Success Harlem had to throw at them in the first couple of minutes, were able to regain their composure, and ultimately they head into the half trailing by just a single point. It appeared we could be headed for something much worse from the perspective of Earl Monroe. On the side of Success Harlem, they did surrender the lead after getting ahead by, I believe it was 7 points early. They take the 1 point lead into halftime, so credit to them as well. Both teams have done some great work defensively around the basket. Outside shooting, not really there. The two sides have combined 3 of 16 from beyond the arc. We'll see if either team can find the outside shooting stroke in the second half.
Absolutely. So Success Harlem, they were up by as many as 10 in the first quarter. They were down by as many as 3, but they score the final 4 points of the first half to take a 1 point lead into intermission. Your score at the end of the first 2 quarters of play, Success Harlem 19 and Earl Monroe New Renaissance School 18. Joe and I will step out, take a break. When we come back, we'll have the second half of action right here, the CPSAL Varsity A Basketball Championship right here on CPSAL TV, powered by the PDF Sports Network. Welcome back here to the Apex at Lehman College here in the Bronx, New York. We are at halftime between Success Harlem and Earl Monroe. Success Harlem with a 1-point lead. They were up by as many as 10, down by as many as 3, and then scored the final 4 points of the second quarter to take a 1-point lead into intermission. Joe, essentially anybody's game at this point. May as well be 0-0 as we go into the final 60 minutes. But one of the things I really noticed is at halftime, Success Harlem went into the lockers, and head coach Brandon Rivera had his team out literally 30 to 45 seconds after going in. They were right back out onto the floor taking their warm-ups. What do you think he said in those 30 seconds?
It's tough to guess because a lot of it probably can't be repeated on the air. I assume a lot of those halftime conversations do go that way sometimes. But that being said, when I look at what these two teams did really well in the first half, both teams did a great job defending around the rim. There wasn't much that came easily for either side in the paint. Neither side shot it well from the outside. So assuming that both teams can maintain that defensive intensity around the basket, you would think the team that can pick it up shooting from the outside would be the team that gains an advantage. Neither team really got many free throw attempts. Both sides a combined 2 for 7 from the line, if I tallied correctly. If I tallied correctly as well, the two sides a combined 3 for 16 from downtown, 2 of 10 on the side of Success Harlem, 1 for 6 on the side of Earl Monroe. So, as I said, neither team really taking that many outside shots relative to the number of shots they took in the first half, as it was a pretty fast-paced half at times. At other times, the defense has brought this game to a grinding halt. We really saw two completely different styles of game.
Right.
The early portion of this game was a bit more run and gun, a bit more fast-paced, and then after that, things really began to slow down a bit, and it seemed like Earl Monroe gained the advantage once the game did slow down, and that would make sense. As they've taken fewer outside shots, they really benefited from a game that was centered more around the basket, and the big name to watch in that regard on the side of Earl Monroe was Eric Bush. He really did a good job finishing around the basket.
Yeah, absolutely, and I was going to say much of what you just said too, Joe, about both of these teams gave us a couple of different looks in that first half of play. Enough for us to start thinking about what are we going to see here in the third. A long-range bomb to start things off. Offensive rebound by Bush off the miss by Liz. Liz does get it back, retreats over to Washington. Washington backpedals.
And it's easy to see when you're looking for adjustments coming out of the locker room. The change may have been made earlier, but you'll see here, Success Harlem now in man-to-man defense.
There you go. And that one misses over the bar, but stays with Earl Monroe. The give underneath off the legs of Green. Intended for Bush, who was sneaking in. Back door of the paint. Liz gets it this time. Bounce pass to Bush. Bush off the glass. No good. He was bothered by Deshaun Wilson, who did a nice job defensively. Success Harlem with their first possession here of the second half. Just inside the free throw line, it is Elvis Asare. He started Success Harlem in the scoring column in the first half and does the same here in the second to improve the lead to 3.
And that's a spot where you can find some openings as a big man playing against the zone defense, especially when you're comfortable turning and shooting.
3-point basket off the glass and in. So it is Deshaun Wilson who skied that one up and got the good bounce off the glass.
Second three of the game for Earl Monroe.
You got a brand new ball game, 21 apiece. Asari inside on Bush. Gets that one off the glass and in.
Asari beginning to heat up now. We saw him featured more early. They got away from that, and that's when the game began to slip a bit in the favor of Earl Monroe.
I agree that time, as coming in was Stuckey looking for the layup, couldn't get it to go, and here comes Asensio the other way. Asensio, nice feed. Losing his balance there a little bit was Mabel, but getting it over to Asari. Asari looking for some help, finds it in Davis. Davis drives baseline, and he gets the layup to go. Back up by 4 is Success Harlem.
Success Harlem continuing to attack, but they're doing so in a way that's drawing the defense away from the ball handler.
3-point basket attempt off the back iron, long rebound. It's won by Earl Monroe. Driving in off the glass, no good was Wilson. battling for his own rebound, and he'll be victorious.
Well, here's a look at how Asari has impacted this game coming out of halftime. Early finds an opening in the zone defense, patient, pulls up, not an easy shot, is able to knock it down. Moments later, they feed him the ball for an attempt around the rim that we'll get a look at very quickly ahead of this inbound pass. You see it here. As that shot is banked in, the three-pointer is up and no good. Immediately off the inbound, of course.
Of course. But Bush is there to clean things up. Another offensive rebound and a putback for Eric Bush. And another points or more points in the paint for Earl Monroe, cutting the lead down to 2. Success Harlem all the way across for Davis, interrupted by Bush. And they'll have to reset things.
Well, Bush making an impact in the first half, doing so once again here in the second half as you see him come up with the loose ball. Perhaps a bit fortunate on the bounce, but he finishes the tough shot in traffic.
Green, opts out of his shot, gets it back, gives it over to Davis. Davis to Asari. Asari down low, was looking for Mabel. Mabel in between the trees, can't get that one to go. As another rebound for Bush. They look for the home run pass down the length of the court. And getting in the way of that was Corey Davis. So slow things down for Earl Monroe here. A chance to tie or take the lead. Bounce pass underneath it is intercepted by Asari. Nice job underneath by Elvis Asari. And slowing things down will be Vince Asensio. Ball in his hands just about every possession here. Works it into Mabel. Mabel gets it back up top. Asari resets. Asensio to Green, back up top to Asensio. Green spots up for 3, no good. Missed it over the rim, but Mabel, the fourth, is there, and the putback is good.
That's a tough shot in heavy traffic as all of a sudden Success Harlem beginning to assert themselves around the basket. The outside shots not falling, but around the rim they've been able to find some openings and finish. That was a tough shot on that last attempt.
Chance of defense come up from the Success Harlem bench and the crowd as driving in and trying to put one off the glass. No good was Shasheen Liz. And here comes Success Harlem the other way. Asensio controls, drops over to Davis. Davis wanted the baseline, opts out, pitches back up top to Asensio. Back over to Davis. Davis, a long-range 3. It's good. And the lead back up to 7 points for Success Harlem. And it prompts a timeout from Earl Monroe. They want to talk things over here.
Well, watch out if the outside shots begin falling. That outside attempt misses. Offensive rebound, tough shot in heavy traffic on the follow. Moments later, once again, Success Harlem finding an opening from the outside. Perhaps a bit of a late close. Liz also has the 3 fouls. He can't be too aggressive in that spot, and taking advantage on the shot attempt there was Success Harlem. Knocking it down from beyond the arc was Corey Davis. He gives his team a 7-point lead.
Yeah, Success Harlem with 14 points in the first quarter, only 5 in quarter number 2, and they've responded here with the 11-point third quarter, and we still have just about half of the quarter left to play. So they've started out hot here, and three-pointers never hurt.
In the paint and outside as we wind it back toward the beginning of the quarter, you'll see here Asari taking it to the basket, and he finishes in heavy traffic. This is beginning to become a much more well-balanced game offensively for Success Harlem. And if you're Earl Monroe, that's definitely something that's concerning to you, as the outside shots really hadn't been a factor for much of this game. Perhaps that last three-pointer can get Success Harlem going. They're still just 3 of 12 from long range, but all it takes is one when it comes to an outside shooter who thrives on getting up shots in bunches. Not saying that's the case here, but sometimes all it takes is one make to get you going.
So let's see how Jared Rivers' team responds after the timeout call. We'll get a quick whistle on Elvis Asari underneath against Bush. And they'll reset things here with 3:39 on the clock here in the third quarter. Mohamed Jallo reports back in, replacing a very effective Elvis Asari. So we'll see how that plays for Success Harlem. Inbounded by Washington. He backtracks, being fronted by Asensio. Gains the paint, puts one up in the lane, can't get the friendly roll, goes out of bounds. Possession will be to Success Harlem. And a chance here to build on the lead. They've led by as many as 10. But this obviously their biggest lead here of the second half. And that pass goes awry as out past the outstretched hands of Mabel the fourth, and there's a quick turnover as working his way back in will be Bryce Azuna. He'll take the place of Kumsen. 3:18 remaining in the third quarter. Critical 3 minutes here to end this frame for sure for both of these teams. Azuna sets the screen. They work it around the horn. There's a three-point attempt, no good, but there to clean things up once again, Eric Bush.
And Bush has had a massive impact on this game. I said it in the first half, and they're going to need him even more so here in the second half, now trailing by 5.
Losing his footing on the play was Wilson. Allows Corey Davis to escape on the corner. Three-point unabated three, no good. Here's a touchdown pass over to Bush. Bush driving in the lane, off the glass and in.
Bush continues to come up huge time and time again. Each time Earl Monroe is in need of a basket, their big man comes through. Here's a look at the first basket. Bush once again ended up in heavy traffic. Perhaps I wanted just a bit too far. We'll back it up for you, and you'll get a look at it here off of the miss. The ball ends up in his hands, and he scores the easy two, as you'll see right here. Fortuitous bounce goes the way of Bush, and then moments later, Bush gets another opportunity, this time off the long pass up the floor. You'll see him catch it here and finish at the rim as he was surrounded by a couple of defenders. That prompts the timeout from Success Harlem. Bush really a nuisance for them right now. If you're Earl Monroe, you need to hope that one of your other players gets going offensively. Thus far, Bush's contributions around the basket have been enough.
Yeah, they've been tremendous, and they've followed a couple of long-range misses as well, which is interesting to point out. But Earl Monroe calls a timeout. They respond by scoring the next 4 points and are right back in this one with 2:35 remaining in the third quarter. They are now down to just a single possession, and that prompts a timeout called by Coach Rivera and his Success Harlem team. And it's been a game of swings, Joe. We said it in the first and second quarters, but right here in the third, living proof again. Success Harlem just unable to shake off this Earl Monroe team, and head coach Rivera sensing it, calls the timeout. We'll see how they respond.
Well, I said at halftime we look for a team that really gets going from the outside to gain a big advantage doing so, and we just haven't seen that here in the third quarter. Right. It's been a back-and-forth battle dominated by interior defense and interior scoring. Tough finishes around the basket and some heavy traffic have been the majority of the baskets that we've seen here in this third period.
Green gets it back. Asensio, he wants to drive, finds the paint, drops it off inside, and perhaps looking to make the extra pass that time was Mohamed Jallo, and he's guilty of the turnover. And, Joe, we should mention that since Earl Monroe has made this mini 4-0 run, it has been with Elvis Asare on the bench for Success Harlem, obviously picking up that last foul.
If we don't have a foul tally, you'd have to think he has 3 if he came out of the game.
I would agree with that as well. He was upset coming off because he was being taken off, but they've taken advantage since his absence. This is Bush, fall away, short jumper in the paint, no good, collected by Jallo, and he's able to get it over to Asensio.
And offensively, we really haven't seen any other players attacking the rim for Earl Monroe in this game. It's been almost all Bush.
Asensio puts up a short jumper just outside the paint, no good. Turnaround jumper for Mabel the fourth, no good. And it's collected by Bush with 90 seconds to go in quarter number 3. Across they go to Washington. Washington gains the paint off the glass, no good. Azuna was battling for the offensive board. And his second opinion gives the ball back to Earl Monroe.
Well, right on cue, Washington takes it to the basket. He got in quite easily there, but was met with some late resistance, and that forced the miss.
Inbound. It's into Washington. Has a turn at a 3. Missed it wildly. Loose ball. It is collected by Asensio. So Success Harlem with a 3-point lead and possession. 1:10 remaining in the third. Reinforcements come defensively. Good kick out to Green. Green running jumper, no good. Missed it short. Bush with the rebound. Gives it over to Liz. Liz, who spent a lot of time on the bench in foul trouble of his own, back in the game. Liz Still with it. Gets fronted by Green. Liz turns. Slides it over to Washington. Washington back on top of the arc, and he gets fouled by Asensio. 45.3 to go. That's the fourth foul of the quarter, all against Success Harlem.
They had that one to give.
Washington, mid-range jumper, no good, off the glass, and the rebound right into the hands of Mohamed Jallo. Now they skate down the ice. Down the ice. Maybe the ice. It is white down there, Joe.
It is rather bright down on the floor.
Covered too much hockey over these last 3
months. If you go outside, it feels like you're in a hockey rink, so. Bit chilly. Though you could also make the mistake that you're covering swimming if you go outside. It's
True.
A bit wet today.
True. So a turnover for Earl Monroe will give the ball back to Success Harlem.
Speaking of the ice, we'll talk more
Yeah.
following the quarter.
Yeah, we should. Of course, we wrapped up another great ice hockey season. Talk more about that. Asensio, meanwhile, wants to hold for the final shot. 5 seconds to go in the quarter. Green spots up for three, no good. Long rebound collected by Mabel. The putback is good before the buzzer. And they go up by 7 to close out the third quarter.
And how about that finish to the period? Good open look from three-point range. Potentially a chance to make it a double-digit lead. And how about that balance and composure by Mabel the fourth? We've seen that from him on more than one occasion in this game around the rim, particularly off the offensive glass. He finished one of those shots earlier in the third quarter, had another chance just a minute or two before that last try, and then finally he finishes the quarter with that last make to send this game to the fourth, a 7-point game. So that three-pointer wouldn't have made it a double-digit game, would have made it an 8-point game. They updated that scoreboard mighty quick. I looked up, and it was a 7-point game, so I thought the three-pointer could have made it 10. Nonetheless, Dave, speaking of hockey, our season just ended over at the Bridgewater Sports Arena, covering Rockets Hockey Club over on Flow Hockey, where those games stream. Have they started the playoffs yet?
They have not. Well, the NCDC team has not. That's this weekend, so we'll probably hear about some finals at the end of this weekend, their first-round series. But at PDF Sports Network, we also cover Rockets Hockey Club's NCDC team and their premier team, which are two of the marquee junior hockey leagues in the United States. And we cover Rockets Hockey Club, and we covered, I think, about 60 games for them this past year, all on flowhockey.com. So if you are a hockey fan, you could check out Joe, myself, and a host of others calling Rockets hockey games throughout the year, usually from October all the way through March. So we just wrapped up that season, and here at Lehman, everything inside the arc, minus, of course, the paint in that white. So reminds me sometimes of the hockey rink.
The court is glistening today, just like freshly Zamboni'd ice.
Yeah, but at least we're safe. We actually had a semi-pro football game on tap today, but we, of course, did not cover that because of the rain and I guess about the 3 or 4 inches of water we've gotten in the tri-state area.
Well, that would have been a mess.
It would have. There's a drop pass inside. Good job defensively by Liz to get in the way of that one. But what I was going to mention, too, about Success Harlem, too, is Asari still on the bench here. And following that timeout, they got the lead back up to 7. So good news with Asari on the bench, who we'd like to think will probably play down the home stretch of this one. They battle down on the ground. It is a jump ball. And possession will go over to Earl Monroe. But here in the fourth quarter now, kind of a quiet has fallen over this crowd because I think everybody in the arena kind of understands the magnitude now of each possession, and it's on the minds of the players here. Earl Monroe will have to come back yet again. They've fallen down by 7 before, reduced it to 4, but now they have possession down by 7 once more. Outside, long-range 3, no good for Boyd. Bush got the rebound, but he's going to get called for a foul going up for that one.
And you have to think that the benefit Earl Monroe is getting from these minutes with Asari on the bench could be coming to an end soon.
Yeah.
We would expect him to come back into the game for the closing minutes. And you'd have to think with him not being in the game now, he may have picked up his 4th foul.
Asensio looked to teardrop that one in. He fell way short. Liz with the ball, tried to go behind the back, lost it. But there to bail him out was Stuckey. Stuckey around the horn to Boyd for 3. That was a clutch three-pointer right there. And like you said, Joe, only takes one to get yourselves back in it.
Certainly takes just one make from beyond the arc, and Earl Monroe needed that one. 2nd consecutive chance for Boyd.
They sure did. Vince Asensio gets it over to Green. Green looked to drive, needs some help, gets out of trouble. Mabel the 4th. Jallo back over to Davis. Davis for 3, airballs it out of play. And Earl Monroe will get the ball back. Down by 4 once again. They've trailed by as many as 7 in this half.
And here's how they pulled to within 4 on that last shot by Boyd. They had to have it. It just felt like it at this juncture in the game.
Yeah, almost a disaster losing the ball. They were able to get it back. A miss that time by Stuckey, but it ends up getting back to Stuckey. He saves things. New possession here. Just under 6 minutes to play in regulation. Long range 3, no good. Rattles off the side of the rim, collected by Success Harlem. That miss by Liz. Green battling against Boyd, drops it off to Asensio, and Asensio is out of play on that drive. So another turnover here for Success Harlem will give the ball back to Earl Monroe with a chance. Coming back into the game is Dendy for Success Harlem, so still Asari on the bench. And still sitting.
And after 3 quarters of looking to attack and get to the basket more,
Bush will earn himself a trip.
Well, after 3 quarters of attacking the basket and looking to score around the rim a bit more, Earl Monroe early in this 4th quarter looking to shoot from the outside a bit as they attempted 3 quick threes to open up this quarter in just the first 2 minutes. Made one of those, and right after that, they give the ball back to Bush. He's been reliable around the basket. He draws the foul and misses what was only the 4th free throw attempt of the game for Earl Monroe by my count.
Yep, same here, Joe. Both teams 1 for 4 from the line in this game, so neither team really getting to the stripe often. In fact, just haven't had that many fouls. 1-1 in this quarter. The foul against Earl Monroe was their first of the half, a little earlier. 2nd free throw, no good. Now 1 for 5 from the free throw line for Earl Monroe in this game. They find them still down by 4 after a couple of trips down the floor with a chance to cut it. Green goes up and he gets fouled. I believe that's against Stuckey, and Green will go to the line.
Well, you said it. Ahead of that last trip to the line, Earl Monroe was just 1 for 3, and Success Harlem 1 for 4. Not much in terms of free throw shooting in this game, both in terms of shooting percentage and total free throws attempted, as that first attempt from the line is good by Green.
Puts them back up by 5 here, which in a game like this is kind of comfortable. Haven't seen the big stretching leads except for early on when Success Harlem had a 12-2 lead. That was their biggest lead of the game. They are now 3 for 6 from the free throw line today and are up by 6, 36-30. Bush, that one was interrupted by Mabel the 4th, another block shot for him. And here comes Success Harlem the other way, a chance to grow the lead. They led by 7 at the end of 3. Asensio getting harassed. Got it over to Asari, who had checked into the game, but they turn it over. Bush lost control. He got tripped up, and I think that's going to be up against Corey Davis. Davis kind of patting his own chest, saying that's my fault.
Well, Bush was in a really tough spot. He was stumbling to the basket 1-on-2. You could make the case 1-on-3, though he did have a teammate trailing the play. And fortunately for him, he gets the benefit of the whistle.
Inbounds is lost, and it will be, no, actually both referees disagree, but overruled, and this will stay Earl Monroe's direction. The pass underneath was intended for Ozuna, and now they'll inbound from just in front of their own bench. The give to Bush. They go around the horn. This is Liz, finds an open Washington. Washington gains the lane, rattles off the rim, no good, and Asari collects.
Strong move by Washington. The finish just not there. He's gotten to the basket a couple of times just like that over these last several minutes.
Yeah, just been unlucky there in the paint with those jumpers. If you're not named Bush in this game, it's just been tough to get in the scoring column for Earl Monroe. And if you're Success Harlem, there really is no urgency here. Up by 6, approaching the midway point of the quarter. Asensio skies one in front. It was easily picked off by Bush. Eric Bush, coast to coast, off the glass and in.
Dave, Bush has single-handedly kept Earl Monroe in this game, both with his defense and with his offense. His rebounding has been a factor. He's done it all.
In that time, he had a steal plus a layup. Fast break point. And down by 4 once again is Earl Monroe. Asensio getting out of trouble, dropping it off. Reverse layup the other way, no good. Bush had the rebound initially, lost it off of his kneecap.
He just couldn't corral that one, but he had no problem here off the steal. Finishes on the fast break. We'll have to get a quick look at it as the ball was immediately inbounded, but there you see that make by Bush.
Mabel now with a long two-pointer, no good, and it is bounced off of Mabel's fingertips and out of bounds. So with 3:23 to go, not Ozuna, it will be Stuckey who checks back in favor of Deshaun Wilson. And with 3:20 to go, here we go. Important possessions here as we go down the stretch. Liz controls from the left side of the rim, being fronted by Asensio. Receives the screen. Liz stops at the free throw line. Passes it off to Washington. Washington to Bush. Bush gains the paint. Off the glass and in. 36-34 now. And Earl Monroe down by just a bucket. Down by as many as 10 in the game and 7 in this half. Asari stops at the free throw line. Jumper, no good. Too strong off the back iron. And Green is interfered with on the offensive rebound attempt. And with 2:46 to go, we'll have another foul whistled here against Earl Monroe.
That was a huge rebound by Green. Here's a huge finish at the offensive end of the floor for Earl Monroe. And once again, Dave, it's Eric Bush with the big basket. He makes it a 2-point game. And if you're Success Harlem, you're thanking Green for that rebound and a second opportunity here. He was in heavy traffic among the trees.
No doubt about it. Asari pushes it towards Asensio. Asensio now trying to get through some bodies. We will have another whistle here, and Earl Monroe picking up their 4th foul, so no more to give here in this 4th quarter.
And that will be a big factor with still 2:38 to go.
Yeah, absolutely. You want to be up by multiple possessions inside of 2 minutes. That's the trick. Long 3 is missed by Davis and collected nicely by Wilson. This is Liz now. Liz moving in. He gets rejected by Mabel the 4th. Mabel continues to control. He needs some help, and he gets it in the way of Asari. 2:12 to go, and we're going to have a timeout called by Success Harlem. As with the ball in their hands, Joe, they want to talk it over. A very big swing moment in the game here with 2:13 to go, up by a possession.
And you're absolutely right about that. This opportunity set up by that rejection. Edward Mabel the 4th swats that away. He came from outside of that play. That was not his man. He came from off the ball. Good help defense. Saw his man. Was bodied down toward the rim. Wasn't going to be able to contest that shot. Strong take in transition by Liz. He did not see the defender coming from the blind side. And that's a difference-making play late in a close game. 2-point game with 2:13 to go. But this game has really become a defensive battle. It has been that way since the start. And I'm a bit surprised thinking over it in my head right now, but there have been just about as many points in the second half as there were in the first half. This game has been this way since the beginning. It's not often you see two teams play a game where both sides are below 40 points in the final 2 minutes plus, but that's where this game is right now, and both teams' defenses deserve a lot of credit for that.
Yeah, absolutely. The score was 19-18 at the half, and the score is 17-16 here in the second half. both in favor of Success Harlem, which has the ball in hand with 2:13 to go, up by 2 points. Best players on the floor for both teams, or at least I believe the starting lineup, just about for both teams. Out on the floor, and Asensio almost losing that one. He's being fronted by Washington, drops it off to Green. Green, clutch three-pointer, no good. It rims in and out. Asari with the putback, off the glass, too strong, falling with the rebound in hand and getting the jump ball. Was a toss-up, Wilson and Asari, and Maple, I should say, but it is won by Success Harlem. So the next jump ball will be in Earl Monroe's possession. So we are officially under 2 minutes to go. Asensio over to Green. Green to Mabel. Mabel intercepted that time by Liz. Liz has his pocket picked, but it's out of bounds. They can't save it. Earl Monroe will have possession, 1:45 to go.
And time again, Success Harlem has been looking for that one big shot from the outside. They have not gotten it yet. They've had open looks from distance.
Washington, who hasn't seen a lot go his way from the outside today, controls, gives over to Liz. Liz almost lost his footing and now does. He travels with it with 1:33 to go.
And at times he's been a bit out of control. Lost his footing there, was in heavy traffic. Couldn't keep the pivot foot. And another opportunity for Earl Monroe to tie or take the lead goes by the wayside with 90 seconds to play.
The bonus becomes a factor here as well. No more fouls to give for Earl Monroe. Only 2 team fouls in this quarter right now for Success Harlem. This is Green looking for some space. Drops it off to Davis. Davis a long-range three, no good. He missed it pretty badly, but Mabel's there with the rebound. Green with the putback three, no good. And Bush scores the rebound. All the way up the floor, Liz, bounce pass to Wilson. He's rejected by Mabel. And coming out with it, it will be a timeout as Wilson got to it. Timeout called by Earl Monroe. And with 1:01 to go, they'll have possession.
And here's a look at that last wild sequence, Dave. It began with a three-point attempt from the top of the arc by Davis. No good. Once again, Success Harlem just can't find the outside shot as Green can't connect. Long outlet pass up the floor. Here comes Liz. And I think you're right. I think Mabel the fourth did get a piece. Initially, I thought he might have been rejected by the bottom of the rim, but I think that chase down block belonged to Mabel the fourth. He gets back again with a critical play defensively. Even if he didn't block it, that's a great job to hustle back and alter that shot, as once again Earl Monroe had a chance to tie the score.
Yeah, and they will still have that chance to tie or take the lead on this possession. But here we go. Now again, this is a good time for Success Harlem to use a foul if they need to without giving up an easy look. They do have a couple of fouls to give. And we'll see how they choose to play that. It was Earl Monroe that called the timeout, Joe. So we'll see what they draw up here on the inbounds from, I believe, will be the bottom of the baseline. And it will indeed.
Now, let's say Earl Monroe ties the game with a 2. How long can you reasonably expect to be able to hold the ball and run the clock as the lights have gone out?
Half of the arena's lights just went out. So we will see now.
1:01 left.
With 1:01 remaining. Now it is 5 p.m. here. I don't know if the lights are on a timer here at Lehman College, but both teams have gone to their respective benches, and we will resume when the lights come on fully again. But there are 5 rows of lights here at the apex, and 3 of the 5 are out. The 2 right above us.
So those lights can be controlled via a cell phone. Event staff just went on a phone down on court level and turned the lights back on. I think they expected us to be wrapped up by 5 o'clock.
Maybe.
And given the late start.
Well, usually if they're controlled by a cell phone, it means they can be put on a timer. And we have a turnover here, as unable to keep his footing was a Harmy Boyd. It was a tough inbound from the beginning. But now officially under a minute to go. Success with a 2-point lead and possession.
And how long can you expect to hold the ball?
Right.
without a turnover or a foul.
With no fouls to give either. Any foul will bring them to the line, at least for a 1-and-1. Asensio, being double teamed, is able to get it over to Green. Green will take his time, wait for the double team to converge on him, and now he is ran into by Wilson. And so I believe it will be Green at the free throw line. Now, Success Harlem, by my numbers, Joe, I think we agree 3 of 6 from the line tonight.
We do now.
And this is a 1-and-1. Oh, no, excuse me, I'm sorry. Automatic 2 shots. No more 1-and-1. And it's no good. So maybe a wise foul in that situation now.
Well, the good news is if you're Earl Monroe, you're within 1 possession regardless of whether or not this shot goes.
Right.
But you have to secure the rebound.
Yep, and I think you want at least 2 possessions here with 38 seconds to go. Second shot is good. So they stay at 50% for the game, 4 of 8, but they're up by 3. 36 seconds remaining. Here we go. Chance of defense coming up. Long range 3 and a foul whistled against Green on the three-pointer attempt by Washington, and he will shoot 3 at the line. So, Joe, how is this for a pressure cooker? 30.7 seconds to go, and Washington will shoot 3 from the free throw line with a chance to tie.
We'll get a look at the foul call following this first free throw. I think it was undoubtedly the right call. As the free throw is good, we get a slow motion look at it. And there you see the contact. No question that's a foul. First high pressure free throw goes down.
Second free throw is good. So now, as a team, 3 for 7 at the line, a chance to bring them up to 50% with a make here. And we have a timeout called by Success Harlem. And, I think that's a good timeout, Joe, here. Judging either by a miss or a make, you have 30.7 to go.
Would you call that icing the shooter?
Maybe. I think you realized.
Those first 2 were calmly netted by Washington.
Right. No, I think that's a good point to that, because then if you miss this shot, you got to get the rebound, obviously, so you remind your team, remember to box out here, remember to get the loose ball rebound, and then what are we going to do with the final 30.7, or who do we want at the free throw line, because Earl Monroe might automatically foul, or if there is a make, what do we want to draw up here in these 30.7 seconds, assuming maybe that you want the last shot here as well.
I think what you do if you're a Success Harlem, you get your rebounding unit out there. Make sure that if this free throw is missed, you grab the rebound. Then if the shot is missed and you grab the rebound, you call a timeout. If the shot is made and you don't grab the rebound, you can still call a timeout and set yourself up for the final shot of the game. Now, if the shot is missed, then obviously you'd be looking at a situation where you might get fouled. So if you're Earl Monroe, you pressure immediately following a miss. If Success Harlem grabs the rebound, try and force that quick turnover, or perhaps foul someone that Success Harlem does not want at the line.
If he misses this one, it's the best timeout ever. He does not. So here we are, 30.7 to go, and the score 37 apiece. Brand new game, under 30 seconds to go. Mabel drops it down. Asari wants to spin, he's fouled. Ozuna can't believe it. He thought that Asari just got tangled up in his feet. Maybe we'll get another look at it. Joe's queuing it up. And we will see. Fans don't like it for sure, at least on the side of Earl Monroe. A 2-shot foul will put Asari at the line.
That's real speed. We'll slow it down following the first free throw, though they're attending to a wet spot. So we'll take a look right now.
Yeah, we'll drop that in slow motion for you. See if it's a tangle of the feet or indeed some hip movement that caused that.
I think that's a foul.
Well, you got the good look at it, Joe, and certainly trust your call. Asari now with his 2 shots. Can he make it hurt? First one, no good. Asari had that long stretch on the bench to end the third and start the fourth, and really has been quiet since. A chance to put his team up, even by 1 here. Drops at the knees, drains that one calmly. Success Harlem, 5 of 10 from the free throw line today. And another foul called, and now with 20.7 seconds left, 10 seconds less than what we had the last time. Earl Monroe with a chance to either tie, take the lead, or what have you here.
Well, in a one-point game, on the defensive side, if you're Success Harlem, you certainly do not want to foul. Don't lose this game from the free throw line. If you're Earl Monroe, obviously, you know you need a basket. You can look to attack and draw a foul quickly. I don't think you hold for the final shot. There's too much time left. You would have a chance to get another possession if you do miss the shot and need to foul. Also, when it comes to that need to foul, if you don't score and commit a foul, you cannot fall behind by 2 possessions. So I think if you're Earl Monroe here, you look to work quickly, try and get to the basket. If you have a play you love for an outside shot, you can try that as well. Though I think personally I'm a fan of attacking here and having that opportunity to potentially draw a foul. Even if you miss the shot without drawing a foul, you do have ample time to foul and then get one more possession with a chance to potentially tie or win the game. That's looking pretty far ahead. We don't know the timeout situation as well. So this could potentially be the last timeout for Earl Monroe. If it is, I don't think that necessarily changes too much. That being said, should you need to foul and possess the ball one final time, you won't have a timeout to diagram a play. Timeout does not advance the ball here as you see them inbounding from under their own basket.
I agree with you, Joe. I think they don't need to rush a shot, but they should try and get some offense quickly. And I think they heard us loud and clear as far as what our wants were, with the miss by Washington, the collection by Asare, and he is fouled. But a wise decision to foul him immediately now with 9.3 to go. Asare will go back to the line to shoot 2 shots. And whether he makes them both or makes one, and if you're able to get the rebound for Earl Monroe, if it's a miss on shot number 2, you'll still have an opportunity to tie here.
I think they played it right, Dave. They attacked the basket, gave themselves a chance to draw a foul. The shot just didn't go.
The only thing they didn't get was the whistle that they potentially wanted, as now Success Harlem 5 for 11 at the free throw line, and that was a big miss because now a 2-point shot ties the game, a 3-pointer wins it.
They need this free throw.
Absolutely. Second free throw, no good. Long rebound, it's won by Success Harlem. They got exactly what they needed if it was going to be a miss, Joe. They needed the long rebound, and Mabel the fourth was right there.
And you can see Asare shoots on a line drive, and that is very conducive to those long rebounds. You'll see it here on the replay as a timeout was called.
And I've got to think that's their final timeout. It was called by Earl Monroe.
And that's got to be their last.
Yep.
It's got to be.
Yeah, and I think I saw the referee hold up a 1 for Success Harlem and a 0 for Earl Monroe. So I think there's only 1 timeout remaining in the game, and it belongs to Success Harlem. And Mabel will go to the line to shoot 2. Success Harlem 5 of 12 from the charity stripe today, so under 500 or under 50% from there. Earl Monroe hasn't been much better. They've been 4 of 8 from the line today, but these are 2 huge ones again, and the first one's missed.
The free throw shooting down the stretch for Success Harlem has been a big letdown. This game could have been ended from the stripe with all the stops they've gotten.
Yeah, they've missed their last 3 at least, and shot number 2 does find the twine. So it's a 2-point game. Here we go. Final 8 seconds. Timeout has been called, and maybe they did have 1 left.
Wow.
Because that was called by Earl Monroe. 6.3 to go. Here we go. Last chance here, and we're going to see this game, Joe, either tied or won by either one of these teams.
Well, Dave, obviously today is our first look at these 2 teams, but based upon what I've seen, you try and put the ball in the hands of Eric Bush, let him attack the basket. You're hoping he draws a double team and some extra attention. Perhaps you get an open 3 to win it. If you're Success Harlem, you are not letting Bush drive to his right. Do not let him dribble right.
And you have a foul to give,
so
too.
effective. They also have the foul to give. If he does get to his right, you could give that foul. If he's around the rim and has already made that move to his right, that's a very difficult spot to be in, knowing whether or not you can afford to give that foul. If you give it too late and they rule him in the act of shooting, you potentially just gave away 2 points from the line. So I don't think we're going to see them use that foul to give unless they use it immediately after the inbound.
Yeah, I think if you're Earl Monroe, you have to get the ball in Bush's hands. And I think Success Harlem knows that, Joe, and they will allow somebody else to inbound it. They will harass Bush until he gets the ball in his hands with about 3 seconds left and then immediately foul him and force him to do it all over again.
Washington has also been very effective driving to the basket. Keep an eye on him as well.
All right, so a quick whistle here as they want to do a reset here on the inbounds with 6.3 to go. As referees need to get themselves in position. Now they do. Inbounding will be Liz. He's looking, he finds Stuckey. Stuckey with 5 seconds remaining. Stuckey looking to get rid of Maple. He misses the first, and that'll do it. He did get the own rebound, was unable to put it back. Bush never saw the ball, Joe, and Success Harlem are your 2024 CPSAL Varsity A champions.
And it looks like whatever they drew up got blown up, Dave. You see here the attack toward the basket comes up empty, and that ran out the final seconds. The final touch belonged to Cameron Stuckey. He had an opportunity to tie the game with that layup. It was not that bad of a look. He did get inside, may have had time to drop the ball off. We'll get one final look at it in slow motion here. But nonetheless, Success Harlem, your 2024 CPSAL A-Division boys basketball champions. And there you get a look one more time at just how close it was at the basket.
Yep. And they'll shake hands. Very well-earned championship for Success Harlem. And I know a tough loss for Earl Monroe, but they gave it everything that they had. You know, Joe, Success Harlem only scored 5 points in that quarter, but they were up by 7 going in. They lose the quarter by 5 points, but still, 2-point win gives them the win, 39-37. A little bit of an unorthodox score that we expected in this one. I certainly expected this one to be probably in the mid-50s or so, but defense wins championships. You said it in the pregame show, and it holds up here as Success Harlem is going to get our championship trophy presented to them by Sadiq Nathaniel and Karim McFarland. And I know it's tough for Earl Monroe and kind of long faces on their side, but they will get to half court at some point here to collect their runner-up trophy and hang their heads high on what was a very successful season for them as well. We're going to kick it down to public address here.
I want y'all to give both teams a great. That was an excellent high school varsity basketball game. College champions. No losers here today. It's first place and second place. Ain't no losers. Right? Runner-up, Earl Monroe.
Y'all did good.
And your 2024 high school varsity world champion, Success Harlem. Hold on. Before we even go anywhere, gotta present the MVP. And let's get the moment real quick. I'm sorry, I'll just get this quick moment. All right, and the MVP is number 5, Elvis Asare. Congratulations. Once again, thank you, Lincoln College, for being a gracious host. Thank you, everybody. Enjoy, drive safely.
So, Joe, Elvis Asare is named our MVP of this one as we get our microphones. We got a shout out, Joe, here at half court, but Elvis Asare winning MVP. He had a really quiet second half, Joe, but you could tell when he was on the court, he made things happen for his team, and as a result, his team comes out victorious.
No doubt he was a worthy MVP, Dave. He got it done at the offensive end, at the defensive end, on the glass, and when you impact all three of those facets of the game, it's hard not to receive a Most Valuable Player honor, and the impact he had in this one, unmistakable. He was really a bit of a zone buster as well throughout the game, positioning himself just beyond the free throw line, showed the ability to face up and knock down the mid-range jumper early. He then showed his ability to attack the basket later, and that really forced Earl Monroe to adjust defensively. And that kind of bruising play at the offensive end wears you down over the course of 4 quarters, even in just 8-minute quarters, and we saw that impact that Asari had on the game today, as he is the most valuable player.
And Joe, one of the things that I enjoyed about this broadcast is right from the game one, we said that getting off to good starts was important. And in game 1, in game 2, and in game 3, the team that got off to the fast start was able to hang on and bring home a trophy and win a championship. That's probably a theme that we're going to take with us for the future of our coverage with CPSAL. But it held up again. Success Harlem came out. They were the hotter team to begin with. They weathered some storms, and they never trailed in the second half either.
And playing from behind really takes a toll on you. Earl Monroe did a great job. They did have the lead briefly at times. Late in the first half, I think they took the lead briefly at one point later in the game, though I'm not sure they ever led in the second half. If they did, it was very briefly. Nonetheless, they had to expend a lot of energy, a lot of effort, and some fouls playing from behind throughout that game. We saw players relegated to the bench with foul trouble throughout the game for both teams, but Earl Monroe had to play from behind much of the game, and we saw the impact of that late in the game. They just couldn't get that one big basket to get over the hump. Success Harlem defensively down the stretch was fantastic. The game certainly could have been decided a bit sooner were it not for misses at the free throw line, as we're getting a bit of a light show to end this one now. My question is, can you automate this on the phone? Not
Possibly.
So sure. Could be our cue to get out.
Yeah, absolutely.
More likely our cue to get out.
Yeah, but Joe, well said, and of course, well played by both of these teams today. Once again, your final score, Success Harlem 39, Earl Monroe 37. They are your 2024 CPSAL champions in the Boys A varsity division. We want to thank, a bunch of people, everybody here at Lehman College, such great hosts, of course, letting us set up here in their gymnasium, making us feel at home. Eric Harrison and his staff, thank you very much, Lehman College. Karim McFarland and Sadiq Nathaniel of the CPSAL. Want to thank them not just for today, but for everything that they do for the CPSAL, launching the Charter Public School Athletic League, and of course, giving us some of these great highlights and great championships to look forward to. We love working with them. Congratulations to Karim and Sadiq on a great winter basketball season. And of course, for my colleague Joe Foreman, our camera operator Sal Cuccio, I'm David Pizzuto, wishing you a great rest of the evening and a great rest of the weekend. Once again, Success Harlem wins it by your final score 39-37 over Earl Monroe. This has been CPSAL TV coverage of the 2024 Basketball Championships, powered by PDF Sports Network. Thanks for joining us, everyone.